Welcome back to my channel, Mama. On today's video, we are going to be talking about routine as a mama in business. Now, I have been a mama in business for 8 years. Can't even believe it's been that long. And I've been a homeschooling mama in business for 4 years. We are now entering into our 4th year as a homeschooling family. 2 things that I have learned along the way is, 1, take everything that you see online with a grain of salt. It looks good from the outside, but that doesn't mean that it's functioning on the inside. And so it's really important for me to make sure that I am just not judging myself based on what others are doing. And 2 is that you have to do what works for you. So even if it's not fancy, even if it's not pretty, even if it's not Instagram worthy, you have to do what works for you. So get comfy, get cozy, and I'm going to share with you my non-routine tips as a homeschooling mama in business. Okay, first thing is first, I don't wake up before my kids. I just don't. I've tried to do it very consistently. Now, there are days when I do because my kids will sleep in, and should I say this out loud? Is it going to ruin it? But I have really good sleepers. My kids sleep until at least 8 a.m. And on some days, like we're talking about 9 a.m., they sleep really well. They love their sleep, as do I. And so I know that I'm going to function better. I'm going to be able to give my all to the day if I'm getting in my sleep. I'm a night owl. I love to stay up late, and I love to use that time at the end of the day when my kids are sleeping to have me time, quality time with my husband. We really enjoy that time of our day. And so going to bed early and waking up early, it just doesn't work for me. And I've tried to fit into the mold of okay, wake up before the kids, get in your workout early in the morning, or get in some work before the kids wake up, have me time, read your book, and it just doesn't work. Again, on the days where they're sleeping in a little bit later and I'm waking up a little bit earlier, I do have that time and I see the benefit. I see the draw. I totally understand it. And there are days where I'm like, I wish I was that person where I could just wake before the kids and have that time. But what works best for me is having that time after they go to sleep at the end of the day. And so I no longer try to fit the mold of waking up at 5 a.m. because if I wake up at 5 a.m., I am no help, no use by mid-afternoon, right? By 1, 2 p.m., I'm like, is the day almost over? So I no longer try to do what works for others. Instead, I do what works for me, right? Staying up late, enjoying that time with my husband, sleeping in while the kids are sleeping, and then getting up together as a family. And it works for us. The second piece of advice I have for you, or the second, maybe it's not even advice, right? But I'm just wanting to share with you what works for me and what I do so that you know that there are options out there, so that you know that you don't have to do it that one way and try and fit into someone else's mold. And so another thing that I do that isn't really suggested is I work on the weekends. Because we are an entrepreneurial family, a homeschooling family, we have a lot of freedom. And so the way that I see it, time is fluid. Okay, weekends are what people name the end of the week who have it off, right? And that's when they're going to enjoy their time with their family. But I'm doing that 7 days a week. And so I no longer can look at it as okay, Saturday is a family day because Monday through Friday is also a family day, right? And so if it works, if it makes sense for me to work on the weekend, then I'm going to get my work in on those days. And sometimes it's a lot easier to do that because we're not homeschooling on the weekend. Although I will tell you that homeschooling on the weekend is totally allowed. There are benefits to it, right? Especially if you have a fuller work week, then you can homeschool on the weekend, right? And so I guess the point of this is do what works for you with the time that you have, and don't, again, try to fit yourself into the box of, Monday through Friday are working hours, Saturday and Sunday is time for the family. Because if you're spending a majority of your time with your family anyway on Monday through Friday, hey, guess what? Saturdays, the beaches are way more packed around here. So we're going to the beach during the week, right? And so on Saturdays, if I want to work, I can work and I'm not feeling guilty about it. And I'm not feeling like, man, I shouldn't be working. I should be with my family, because I understand that I am spending so much time with my family during the week. And other people don't have that opportunity. And so I work on the weekends. Okay, number 3, I have childcare. I know that's like, oh my gosh, you just let the cat out of the bag. I have childcare, and I've had childcare the entire time I've been a mama in business. So I quit my job when my first son was 18 months old. He was the only one we had at the time, but I was opening up my own law firm, and I was doing it from my home. So like I didn't need to go into an office. I had a home office, but I did have to go into court, right? And I did have to meet with clients. And so I couldn't just quit my job and say, okay, now I'm a stay-at-home mom. I was a work-from-home mom. And I think a lot of times people, they don't understand that that means I have to work. And if I have to work, then I need somebody to watch my child. And I didn't quit my job because I wanted to be with my child 24/7. I wanted to have the freedom and flexibility to be with him more than I was able to in my 9 to 5. So yes, I've had childcare since the beginning of becoming an entrepreneur. And I guess that's why I've had the success I've had, is because I'm not trying to do it all on my own. I'm not trying to be superwoman. I'm not trying to be super mom. I understand that in order for me to thrive and my family unit to thrive, I need help. And I don't see childcare as a cost. I see it as an investment. I'm investing in getting childcare so that I can work on my business. I could have clear, focused, intentional time on working on my business, so that when I'm not working on my business and I'm with my family and my children, I'm not thinking about what I still have to do, because I know that either I've already done it or there's intentional work time coming up in a day or 2 days where I'm going to have the opportunity to get that work done. Investing in childcare is exactly that, an investment. And so many moms are trying to juggle it all and then wondering why it's not working for themselves. And I think a lot of people aren't sharing that they're actually not doing it all on their own. They have help. My husband is an amazing support. Our family, when they lived close to us, also great support. But we also needed somebody to fill in the gaps, right? And that was childcare. And we have an amazing babysitter here in Hawaii that has become a part of our family. Like, we could not do this without her help. And so I have childcare. That's the third way that my routine is different than many other mompreneurs and many other mamas in business, and just the way that it works for us. And it's allowed us to invest in our family and create the lifestyle that we have because I have help. Number 4, I set and enforce boundaries. And I think that that's where things get different, right? So many people set boundaries and they write them up and they have family rules and they have family meetings and they talk about it. But when it comes time to enforcing the boundaries, they're lackadaisical, they let it slide, they change things up. And so it's really important for me, in order to thrive as a homeschooling mama in business, right? Have the time to homeschool my children, have the time to build the business that allows me to homeschool my children. I need to have boundaries. I need to set them, but I also need to enforce them, right? And so having the babysitter come twice a week, 5 hours a day, that is a boundary that I need to make sure that we're enforcing. And so on Monday and Wednesdays when she comes, I am being intentional about not planning activities with my children, right? Because I want to make sure that we are on a routine where we can manage expectations, so that my children can manage their expectations. They know when the babysitter is coming. They know when mom works. They know when dad works. And so it's really helpful for our children to, they do best with routines, and they do best when you manage their expectations. And so enforcing boundaries, while it may feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to tell my child no, telling them no because we have enforced a boundary that we have told them in advance, and so we've managed their expectations, is healthy, and it makes the process a lot easier down the road, right? So as we continue to enforce those boundaries, our children, their expectations have been managed, and now they expect those boundaries to be in place. And so a huge one for me, and the reason again that I've been able to build the success that I've built, is that not only do I set the boundaries, but when it comes time to do so, I enforce them. And that's boundaries for myself as well. Knowing when my work is going to get done, knowing that I've set time aside to work, and then actually showing up to do that work. So even on days when the babysitter doesn't come and I have to do work, I have to know that, okay, the way that my business is going to flourish and the way that my business is going to allow what I have here in this freedom is if I work. And so I have to consistently show up for my work when I say I am. That's the only way this is going to work. So setting and enforcing boundaries, not working in the cracks of my day, which again, it's just a big thing, that a big push for moms in business is like, work in the cracks of your day and build this business from your cell phone. And then these people get this false hope and false idea that they can build in the cracks of their day. And when they're not seeing the success come, they're like, well, why isn't it happening? I'm working in the cracks of my day. And that's what this person is saying. I don't tell anybody that I work in the cracks of my day. Do I also work in the cracks of my day occasionally? Yeah, absolutely. But I have intentional focused time where I am working so that I know that the work is getting done. It's really hard to grow a 6-figure business working in the cracks of your days. Can it be done? Absolutely. But will it be done on the timeline that you're hoping for? Probably, most likely not, especially because the market is so saturated now. And that's not to discourage you that you shouldn't start. It's just to let you know, because it's saturated, you really have to be intentional and committed and show up consistently to see the results that you want to get. So I'm never going to say work in the cracks of your day as if that's the only thing I do. I get help. I set boundaries. I enforce those boundaries. I make sure I'm getting the rest that I need so that I can be productive during the day. Those are the hacks to my mom routine. That's what works for me. That's what has allowed for my family to live the life that we live. And so I wanted to just share that with you to let you see it doesn't have to be one way. You don't have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to have success. You don't have to work just Monday through Friday. You can work on the weekends if it works for you. Again, time is fluid. We've created lifestyles of freedom. And so we don't want to box ourselves into that traditional schedule when we don't have to. Okay? Getting help and asking for help, whether that's your spouse, your mother, your mother-in-law, a family member, a high school student who wants to come watch your kids for 2 hours at the end of the day while you're home, right? And just making sure that your routine works for you and yours. Don't try and fit the mold that someone else has set for their family. And I'm not knocking any of these other things. Again, I see the benefits and the perks of waking up early in the morning. Some days I wish that I would do that, but it doesn't work for me. And so I can continue to try and be this, fit a square peg in a round hole. Is that the saying? Or I can just find a square hole, right? That's what we want to do. We want to find the routine that works for us so that we are providing the routine that works for our family, and we're not trying to just mimic what somebody else is doing, because there is not one way to success. There are multiple ways to build success, and it's just important that you find your own. Okay, Mama, that's what I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful, please share in the comments. I want to know, do you already do any of these in your daily routine? Or if not, are there any that you're going to start implementing? Where are you going to find the groove in your routine so that it's not just mimicking what someone else is doing, but it's allowing you to thrive with your family? If this was helpful, please hit the subscribe button. I have more of these videos on the way, but also check out the latest video. I will put it right here, and I will see you in the next video.